All right, so the question is, are Hellcats reliable? And the answer is, I would say they are very reliable. And I'll go first into explaining my experiences and the almost 5 years that I've owned this car. Now, right now, I'm just a little over 17,000 miles. So, it's kind of early on for me to really say this, but just from what I've seen and, the research that I've done, these cars can be very reliable if you take care of them. You have to make sure you're doing your oil changes. That's number one. The first break-in period of 500 miles, get that oil change done right away. So don't wait until the 6,000 to 8,000 miles that you can wait with these cars with the synthetic oil. So after that, the next break-in period is 1,500 miles. Then I would say you may not have to do the oil change right away. You can wait until you get a little bit past, I would say maybe 6,000 miles. But after that, you want to be doing your oil change every 6 months. So I do my oil change literally every 6 months. And of course, I get my tires rotated. So you want to take care of your actual tires along with the car itself. But at 17,000 miles plus on this car, it's still a baby. I still got a long way to go. And I've seen Hellcats well into the 100,000 mile mark range, and they're doing fine. So if you do your oil changes, number one, you'll be fine. That will help protect your transmission for the long term. So you got to make sure you do that. Also, you want to check and make sure all your filters up to par, and you want to check and make sure that all your fluids up to par. And that comes along with, a lot of the times when you go to the dealership, when your car is still under warranty, the dealership, the service people there will check that, and then they will recommend it. But the earlier Hellcats, the 2015s, had the bearings problems, and then they fixed that. I think by 2017 it was already fixed. And then by the time I got my Hellcat in 2020, they were super knowledgeable about how this car worked, how the engineering worked, and they had everything kind of figured out. And I think around that year when these wide bodies first came out, that was like the best year to have a Hellcat. They were the best running. I've noticed that a lot of these 2023 Hellcats, these last calls that came out, they had a lot of problems with them. And I don't know if they rushed them out, if quality control went down the drain, or if it was just a different crew of people that were building these cars, or they just didn't care. I'm not really sure. But I know a lot of those cars had a lot of problems, those 2023s. So from what I'm seeing, they were the most, I would say, defective cars, defective Hellcats out of all of the years at the Hellcat, which is surprising because you'd have thought by 2023 they had everything figured out. But it seems like they changed up some things. A lot of the things are changed on the car, not too much, but the headlamps are slightly changed in the trunk. I think they give you one light in the trunk, and it's just like some different things that happen with the paneling. It's just certain things were different. So they did change some things. So I don't know if they kind of stopped caring as much. I'm not really sure. Like I said, those cars just seemed like they were just rushed, to be honest with you. So prior to that, I would say the peak this year, this 2020, was the peak of where they had everything figured out. Now, on my Hellcat specifically, I had two issues. Early on, my Uconnect, my radio was defective. It may have not been necessarily defective, but it was having a connectivity problem sometimes when I wanted the remote start, if I remember correctly. So they swapped that one out for me because I was still under warranty, so I didn't have to pay for anything. And then later on, I had an issue with my fuel pump. My fuel pump failed. So the fuel pump had to be replaced. It was under warranty. They paid for it, so I didn't have to worry about it. But other than that, I haven't had any issues with this car. Like I said, I've done my oil changes. I've stayed on top of everything. When you look in the Uconnect system, it will tell you the maintenance intervals. And once you start getting to the higher miles, they tell you to start checking your CV joints and your sway bars and all that stuff. But if you don't really swing this car, if you don't really spin this car and do donuts a lot, and you're not really hitting excessive potholes in the city that you live in, you should be fine. But you do have to make sure you do the basics. Like I said, the oil changes, and as you go through those service intervals, you can see what you need, what you may need done. But this car is a machine, all right? These cars are tanks. They can take a lot of abuse, like I've said it before in previous videos. You can be extremely hard on them, and they will still perform at a high level. So you just got to make sure you take care of this car, and it will take care of you. And of course, when it comes to your brakes and your brake pads and your rotors, you want to make sure you stay on top of that. I just recently got my brake pads. I just recently got my brakes redone, maybe like 2 months ago at this point, and my rotors are still good. I did not have to change rotors, so that was a blessing. I didn't have to worry about spending more money on rotors. But if you track the car, you may have to go through rotors. You may go through rotors a little bit more than a person that does not track the car. If you're on the car, hard left and right on the track, and you're braking hard, you'll get those grooves and those deep lines and grooves on your rotors, and that means they need to be changed. So I'll probably be buying some new rotors soon just to have them in my garage for when that time comes. If I have my jacks, I'll just change my own rotors and make a video about it. But because it's real easy to do. But if not, if I don't have my jacks, and if I don't have a lift at that time or whatever I'm trying to get in my garage, I'll just go to my guy Pedro and he'll do it. So he won't charge me that much. But you just got to make sure you take care of the basics on this car, and for the most part, it will take care of you. And of course, you want to take care of the body of your car. And I specifically use Adams products, so that helps out with just the body of my car. And of course, I have my whole car wrapped with PPF, so the paint is pretty much protected. So those are just the basics. My experience is you do your oil changes, you do the basics, and you keep this car running well, and for the most part, it will be extremely reliable. So just a short video on how reliable the Hellcat is. Me having it, owning it almost 5 years in January, coming up in 2025, a little over 17,000 miles. I got a lot of life left in this car, and I can't wait to enjoy it. But that is my take on how reliable these cars are. So that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one.